Oh, that one's going
that
to
was
deflect
nice.
through.
Oh my goodness, what a pass and what a goal.
Oh, what a motion.
He's going to have a shot on goal. That's going to go in. What a play.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of PK Corner. I'm Pete Winslow. Along with me is my lovely co-host, Katie Pierce. And today's guest, I'm so excited, Katie. We have an amazing player, but an amazing person as well. For my money, one of the most important figures in our sport historically, one of the greatest goalies to ever wear the red, white, and blue for Team USA. He won 2 World Cups amongst all of his other accolades that I could sit here and list, but we don't have time for that. We got to welcome my friend, and hopefully yours soon too, JC Russo. Buddy, thanks for being on.
Thank you. That was a very nice intro. Thank you very much.
No, you deserve it. You deserve it, man. I mean, JC, you were, when I got into the sport, roughly right after that first World Cup that you were a part of, like I read about it and saw videos and I was like, man, I got to do that one day. And so you definitely were one of the key figures that was like you and Michael and Elio, like all those older players. I don't want to say old players. Sorry, that sounded like an insult.
I'm old. It's okay.
No, I'm getting old too. But that was such a huge like motivation for me and so many others. So we'll get into that though. But welcome onto the show, buddy. And like I said, I'm so glad that you were able to make some time in your schedule for us.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here. Was it back at Power Soccer Camp in like 2012 or something like that we first met? Or did we meet before that?
No, it was like right after my first nationals, which was like, I think it was when you guys beat Michael in the shootout.
Okay.
At nationals.
Sun
and then
Impact.
so then you and like I think Katie and Jordan and Nat were all there.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this too. I got to share this story. So, Katie, I'm a young athlete, right? It was my first nationals. We took third.
Yep.
And
That's not bad.
Yeah, and I just seen JC and his team absolutely cook in the championship and win a championship via shootout.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then their whole team basically came to our summer camp, which was amazing. And so then I got to know them. And I'll never forget, JC was one of the first people to come up to me and was like, hey, man, you know something? You got a great kick. And like from there, that was like one of the most like read or positive things that I remember, as a young athlete, that like, oh my gosh, JC Russo, the king of all saves and one of the greatest players right now, just told me I had a good kick. So JC, I gotta thank you for that, buddy, because that was a huge thing for me.
Oh yeah, it's epic. Boomstick. You got this.
You knew it from day one.
You got the kick, man. But man, you make me sound really old. I'm only like 4 years older than you.
I know. And let's get into that actually, JC. So you're obviously retired now, but you have so much to talk about as far as your career. But where did it all start? Because obviously, for those that don't know, JC also has a sister, Natalie Russo Dickey now, who also is still playing. And so, like, how did you guys get into the sport? Because, like I said, the sport has come a long way, obviously. So what was it like for you when you guys, first got into it?
So the first time I saw power soccer, I was at a muscular dystrophy summer camp, and Jerry Frick, the OG, he had driven up from Atlanta. My summer camp was in Tennessee, but he drove up from Atlanta to do kind of a demo, and he was out there trying to grow the sport, and that was always his mission, to grow more teams and do clinics all over the country. But we saw it there at the MDA camp, and I just thought it was awesome. It was so fun. And this was the old game. So back before 2007 or 2006, I guess, the sport was very different. We pushed a big ball around and you couldn't back up, and there was weird rules. But they were still fun. So I got a little brochure from Jerry, and I brought it back to my mom. I was living in Indiana at the time, so my mom always says I was pestering her on the entire 7-hour drive back to Indianapolis that we need to play power soccer, and so um, you know, my mom is really the driver who made all the teams happen in Indiana. I can't remember how long after the summer camp that happened, but we had a clinic. I think there was like 12 of us there. Uh, a lot of names that you would know. Jordan Dickey was there. Me and my sister, obviously. Jeannie Munson. I think Lexi was there. Um, a few people who don't play anymore, I don't think. But yeah, there was a really good turnout of players who made Team USA. But that first year, we were kind of figuring it out because we had never seen a real game ever before. But we had the rule book, so my dad was our coach, and he kind of tried to figure out what the best strategies would be. And Jordan was an amazing ball handler, so he was always the center, and me and Natalie, and I think Jenny was it was me, Natalie, Jenny, and Jordan who were the starters, I believe, if I can remember right. I have a terrible memory, so
Katie was on that team too, right?
everyone will have to fact check me. Katie was not on the original team. I don't think. I think it was a couple years later that she joined and started playing. I think so. Natalie thought this sport was kind of stupid. She was like, "This is dumb. I don't want to play this." And we had always told her like, "Hey, come to the clinic, and you can play, and then you can quit after we find enough people to make a team." Because she didn't play at the summer camp either. She went and did art or something, some other activity. So, but at that clinic, she played it for the first time in Indianapolis, and yeah, she fell in love with it too. So, just like I did. But can't remember where I was going after that. But yeah, so we had the team. Oh, we were trying to figure out how to play. We ended up going to nationals, which my mom decided to host nationals that very first year. I think this is 2003 or maybe 2004.
Wow.
So long time ago. But yeah, my mom was like, "Hey, I'll host nationals. I've never been to a nationals before, but let's try it." And so we went to our first tournament, and back then there was a Division 1 and a Division 2, instead of all the conferences that we have today. There weren't very many teams. I think there was probably maybe eight in each division, and that was all the teams in the country, I think. That was pretty crazy, in that very first year, and we kept splitting. I think we were growing like crazy in Indianapolis. I think we had two teams at that first tournament, and then Circle City started, I think, the next year. And then after a few years, Fort Wayne started, and I think we had 11 teams around Indianapolis at one point. So it grew like crazy.
Yeah, it was so interesting. And first of all, Katie, can you imagine like starting soccer and like with the rule book in hand and be like, all right, I think this is how we play a game? Like just think about
That's
just the
crazy.
the inception of the idea of the sport that you now get to see.
Yeah, that's actually crazy to me. You said that, and I was like, that's insane. I could never.
Yeah. And the thing about it was the sport back then, it was called power soccer, but it really wasn't anything like soccer at all. Like we didn't even play with a goalkeeper. It was just four up all the time, and it was a lot like rugby. So yeah, it was a fun learning experience for all of us.
Well, and it was
Yeah,
interesting you said too that like so like when I got into the sport, a couple years after that, like Indiana was the talk of the talk because that was like where power soccer had started basically and grew in the United States and like power soccer of Indy was such a huge thing with so many teams and so many amazing players and then like, here comes little Minnesota to try to like get into the dance and trying to grow our legacy. But like, man, it was so awesome. Like getting to nationals my first year and watching just well, first of all, hearing the names. It's like when you go to any professional sporting thing where you hear like, oh, I think Messi's going to be here, or like things like that, and you get to hear about all these awesome athletes and like you get to see their game. Because even then, when I started in 2008 or whatever it was, like the sport had come a long way from what it had been. Because I actually, JC, missed the big ball era. I came in right after the rule switch. So I think I was kind of lucky, honestly,
Yeah.
missing that first iteration of Power Soccer. But yeah,
Yeah.
just seeing you guys like the precision, and I'll never forget you guys warming up for that championship match, and just like one of the drills you did just blew my mind. I didn't know how scientifically or physically it worked. I was like, I don't know how anybody could ever do this. And so it was so awesome to see. And like I said, like things have changed for the sport so quickly. And so like what was it like for you to see that switch like from the big ball to like, the championship I was talking about?
In the old game, I'm just gonna call it the old game. Uh, it was very dribbling the ball focused. So that's really all you had to do is dribble the ball, and then the other players had to block for you. The when we first saw um, the, I think it was the French. Uh, so I can't remember what year it was, but one of the nationals we did, it was still the old game. France and Japan came and just tried to learn kind of what our game was like, and they entered the tournament just like another team. Japan's rules at the time were very similar to ours. They might have been the same even. In France, of course, theirs were very different. I think they played with a basketball. It was more similar to the game that we have now. I heard that they had like ramps around the edges of the court so they could hit the ball off the bank and shoot it around people and it would roll back in. There was not really out of bounds, I don't think. I've never seen it in person or in even video, but these are things I heard. Um, but anyways, that was the first time that we learned about, hey, you could do a spin kick, just spin as fast as you can and hit the ball. And of course, none of our chairs were really ready to do a spin kick because our turn speeds were not that fast because there was no need to spin real fast in the old game. So we started playing with the programmers, turning everything up to 100% and tried hitting the ball to the side. And I think it was Pika at one of those original tournaments who was showing us, hey, this is how you hit the ball and do a spin kick. Um, and it was fun. And our it was just such a different philosophy from the old game that it took a while to figure out the skills to do it.
I couldn't imagine like the sport not progressing to where like I wasn't spin kicking. I wouldn't have a job. Um, but I don't think the sport would have lasted if it was just, what the old rules were.
Yeah. You say you wouldn't have a job if the rules didn't change, but so I actually don't think I would have the job I have now if the rules or if I didn't play power soccer. Uh which is kind of weird to say because I don't do anything related to power soccer for my job. I work at uh Textron Aviation as in IT. But I always say that because um when I did my job interviews, they didn't ask me a single question about anything other than power soccer. In all the job interviews, we only talked about power soccer. So I always say power soccer got me my job I have now, which is kind of crazy. I mean, it really does change lives in ways that you don't think it will. Um, you know, I didn't mention earlier, but like the first time you go and hit the ball and score a goal all by yourself is like the independence is something that, I mean, you can't get that anywhere else. There's not any other sports really for people in power wheelchairs.
Nope. Look at Katie. Look how. Look at that. The chance. Go! JC Russo ties up the game. Oh, yes. This is going to be a great game. I love it. What a great one.
I want to go back to that job interview. What would they ask you about?
Yeah, that's crazy.
No, okay. I had the normal stuff on my resume, skills and stuff actually related to the job. And I had like one line at the bottom that was like, 2-time world champion on Team USA.
No big deal.
And I would have elaborated on it more, but the job doesn't have anything to do with it. So I didn't put it on there. And now, of course, I understand, like, it's not about playing power soccer. It's about the leadership and teamwork skills that brings. So yeah, they would just ask me like, what does this mean? And then of course I'd start telling them about it, and then they just ask more questions, and I'm like, oh, well, we're actually out of time. So good job. We'll get back to you soon. And then they extended the offer. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Kind of funny. Yeah.
That's so awesome. And JC, one of the things that I feel like we can all relate to in that sense is that, when we, speaking of us athletes or power chair athletes, go to job interviews or do speaking engagements or what have you, I think it's so important for them to see us like as well-rounded individuals. And I think power soccer provides a lot of avenues that way. Especially like with your situation, got you a job. But it's so cool to see that like power soccer is obviously a way that we can be competitive and independent, but it teaches us so many things, which leads me to my next question of just like throughout your illustrious career, JC, like how has the sport changed you as a person, and like what did you learn? And how did it force you to grow or just like be uncomfortable in a good way that maybe shed some light on some things? Because again, we all have our different challenges, and I think things tend to change when you get to hang out with people that also have these challenges, but also we come together as one to play the sport.
It's hard to say how I would have been if I didn't have power soccer, but I know the normal things that like any sport would bring to somebody, like leadership skills, being able to work as a team, just confidence. And I think confidence is a big one. I started playing when I was only 12 or 11 or 12 ish. And, which is really the perfect time to start playing a sport, I think, because that's when you're really starting to grow into who you're going to be. But yeah, I think just those leadership skills, being confident, and just, I don't know, more social with other people, getting to see more people that are like yourself. And I think that just helps you bring that outside of power soccer into school.
We see that every day, no matter what generation of athletes are playing, which is awesome to see. Speaking of generations of athletes, what was it like just having your sister on the team with you? Because like that's not a dynamic a lot of us get to do, and let alone like both of you guys were on Team USA. Both of you, have won the World Cup. Like they played for Team USA, won championships together. Like that's an amazing thing. So can you talk about just like having Nat with you and playing together?
Yeah, I think it was. We just had a lot of chemistry. I think together we would know what we're gonna do because we sit at the same dinner table every night, listen to my dad talk tactics, and we're just obviously really familiar with each other. So, but that was a cool way for us to kind of bond as siblings, because outside of power soccer, I mean, she was, doing girl things, and I was being a nerdy, annoying brother. So, it was definitely a way for us to bond together and get closer, for sure. I miss playing with her a lot, actually. It's been, well, I played like 5 years ago, I think, but it's been almost 12 years since we played together now, like really competitively. Um, so yeah, I definitely miss that.
And that championship team, Katie, that I was talking about with JC and that shootout,
Yeah.
that was JC and Nat as siblings, and then Jordan and his older sister, who's a pioneer of the sport, were also siblings. So you had two sets of siblings who were the starting lineup. And it's just,
Yeah.
again, that's just something you don't
That's
see.
insane chemistry.
Yeah, let alone uh like was it still your dad and Tom as the coaches too?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, so both dads were the coaches, and then just like all four of those players are easily like Mount Rushmore players for Team USA in the sport. So that team was absolutely loaded.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, Natalie Russo ties it up. Here it is. Score! Straight in the back win! Straight in the back win!
Can you talk about just like the '07 team and kind of the 2011 team? Because again, I can't imagine what our sport would have been like had we been part of it then. But I really think it was like good to see kind of the evolution of the sport. Because I know for us, like we, do not take for granted the things that we get from US soccer, but we're super excited about, the athletes that are going to only know what US soccer is this way. But for like you and
Yeah.
I and a couple others still, like we kind of know what both sides were. So if you
Hmm.
could just speak on what the early days were, because again, I mean, for most of us growing up in the sport, watching you guys play for the first Team USA and stuff, like you guys were absolute celebrities.
At the time, my dad was the president of USBSA. I think my mom was the vice president. Um, and they said, "Hey, I think we're going to have Team USA tryouts." And they're like, "Do you want to try out for it?" And I was like, "Oh, that'd be cool. Be on Team USA. That'd be awesome." And uh, they had they had like a tryout in Tampa, where I think there was like 20 or so um, athletes that came to try out, and they were narrowing it down to 12 to go to all the training camps. Chris Finn was the head coach of that one. Chris Finn had he had a awesome plan for getting all of us ready, and focus on the fundamentals, and you got to prepare your body, your mind, um, everything for playing power soccer at that level. And I thought Chris Finn did a great job with doing that without, you know, it was the first World Cup. So we had no idea who was even good, except we knew France was going to be good. Um, so one thing about the Team USA that we had before, I think what US soccer has done by taking over Team USA is like awesome. It's like the best thing that's happened for Team USA. Um, but because it was really hard before, we had to do all of our own fundraising. We didn't really have any sponsors, and it's expensive to go to Tokyo and Paris with, for multiple weeks at a time. So um, the financial part of U.S. soccer taking over the team is huge, but also just the resources that they can bring in terms of staff for doctors, and I think you guys have a bunch of assistant coaches. I don't even know who everybody was, but they were all like talking about the game. I could hear kind of in the background them talking strategy, and there's a bunch of them. I don't know who they were or what they were doing, but that's the kind of thing that U.S. soccer can bring to make the team awesome. Back in the old days, it was just like our parents helping out where we could, and or where they could, and we're just trying to figure it out as we go. So
But that first World Cup, like I was explaining to Katie before the call, like US was not supposed to be in that final, right? Like
No, I don't even know where we thought we would be, but it was not top 2.
Number 77, JC Russo.
Yeah, it was like surreal being in the final at the first World Cup and against France, of course. But to win it in overtime against them, it was like crazy.
you made the stop in the shootout.
I did. And I actually didn't even realize the game was over when I did that. I was like, oh, it's over. And I was just so excited. Chris Finn, our coach, he drove up to me real fast and he ran into me and he had a guard on, but it was not tightened. So it like he couldn't move because it went over his wheels. And yeah, we were celebrating
Oh
like
boy.
crazy. It was so fun.
Well, with that, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have the rapid fire segment here with JC and Katie. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everyone. We are now going to go into the rapid fire segment. So our first question is, who is your favorite power soccer player?
Natalie Russo, Dickey, Natalie Dickey.
Good answer. Good answer.
Thank you.
I'm sure she'll like that.
Yeah.
What was your specialty in power soccer? I know we kind of talked about it, but
My specialty, goalkeeping, I guess. Even though it wasn't my favorite to do, I would much prefer being a striker or a assister. But yeah, I guess goalkeeping was my specialty.
pretty amazing that it was your specialty and you didn't even like it. So kudos.
I think it's just the stress of letting a goal in. Didn't want to ever let it happen. So
Yeah, it's not great.
yeah, because if you miss a shot, then you can get other chances. But if you miss a save, then
Okay. This one's like a random one. But what former teammate of yours would do the best in the Hunger Games?
the Hunger Games. I want to say Michael Archer. I don't know. That's what I'm going to go with.
What are the reasons?
I
I
don't
want to hear
know.
it.
He just seems most capable of taking out everybody else.
Perfect.
Oh, he'll love to hear that.
Yeah.
Imagine you're in a huge stadium. It's a big final. Like you've been in this situation, obviously. If you could choose your walkout music, what song would you choose?
This is AC/DC for sure. Probably Thunderstruck or Hell's Bells. One of the AC/DC songs.
Next one is, what food did you crave after a game the most?
What food did I crave? I don't know. It's been like so long since I've actually played a game. Oh, you know what? I got a good answer actually. Well, this wasn't after games, but we did a lot of clinics around the whole country to try to grow more teams. We did I did some with Michael Archer, I did some with Jerry Frick. I think I did all of them with Jerry Frick actually. But we always went to get milkshakes after a clinic. It's kind of a tradition. So I think I always got strawberry milkshakes, but that was the post clinic craving was
Good answer.
milkshakes. Yeah.
That was me after games, is I would always be getting some type of sweet treat. So I relate.
Nice.
The next one is, if we made the JC Russo biopic, what actor is playing the role of you?
Crazy that the first person I thought of was Ben Affleck. I
No,
don't
that'd
know
be
why.
awesome.
He's in the movie.
I'm just gonna go with that because it's the only one that came to mind.
That's amazing.
great.
This one called Ben. He's
Yep.
got a new role.
Yeah, we'll call him
Well,
up.
I'm pretty sure he watches. So
He'll make millions on that
Yeah.
one.
Next one is, what is the best goal you ever scored?
Can it be my favorite assist instead of a goal?
Go for it.
There was this goal we scored in Brazil. Of course, I was like so used to always playing goalkeeper for Team USA, but this was the first tournament I was like, I do not want to play goalkeeper in this one. Can I please play forward? And so they let me play forward and not play goalkeeper. And I pulled a Pete actually. I pulled a boomstick and I hit it straight at the front person's back wheel, just anticipating that he was going to move, and he did, and it just barely snuck by. And somehow Natalie read it too. There was not a hole at all, but she was thinking the same thing I was, and so it got across to her, and she kicked it in, and I think that was my favorite goal.
All right. Next one is like looking back on your career, knowing how it went. What piece of advice would you tell your younger self?
Just keep doing what you're doing, I guess, because everything ended up all right. So I don't have any regrets or anything. So I think I did all right with power soccer.
So Jenna's question for you, she didn't know who it was going to be, so it's a Jenna question. But her question for you was, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Oh, that's a good one. I want to go back to Japan, honestly. That was where the first World Cup was. I kind of want to go back somewhere where I've been.
So the next one is, sum up your career in 5 words.
Victory, despite not knowing what we're doing. Perfect. That's more than 5 words. No.
Good enough though. That was good. When you were saying that, I was thinking winning without knowing what's happening.
Without knowing what's happening. That's good. Perfect.
All right, well, that is it for the rapid fire segment. So thank you for being a part of it and answering all my questions.
Well, thank you for asking them.
JC, you are such a pivotal figure in not only my life, but in power soccer in general, just with all your incredible accomplishments. And so I'm so glad that you're still around the sport, helping out where you can, showing up to tournaments. Like you were in Australia for us. You were at the APFC. You're at nationals. So sometimes, it's just really awesome that you still are a part of the world, because we sorely miss you playing, but we absolutely are so glad that you're still around and present. So thanks for being on the show, and I hope you had a good time. It wasn't as bad as you thought, right, buddy?
No, yeah, this was good. Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And if you want me on again, wouldn't mind.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Well, that wraps up for this episode 3 of PK Corner. I'm Pete Winslow. Along with me is Katie Pierce. That was the one and only JC Russo. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have more next time.